But apparently his hair is not the only thing that's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, so is his knees. Part of the deal about being a 7'2", really big, tall dude. This guy is extremely injury prone. It's been his whole career. He gets traded to Philadelphia this year as part of a 4-team trade that really seemed like it could help everybody that was involved. The Sixers get Jason Richardson as well as Bynum. Andre Iguodala goes to Denver, which he's been very helpful for them. Hit a game-winning 3 last night. You got Vucevic in Orlando. He's been playing pretty well. But the Sixers get the crap end of the deal. Jason Richardson's been got shut down after 33 games with knee injuries. Bynum got shut down in training camp with hopes of being ready for opening day. Then he got pushed back. Then they finally got him to the point where he was playing 5-on-5s, and he experienced some severe swelling in his knees. And now he's set to have season-ending arthroscopic surgery on both of them today. He's not played all year. He's coming off, though, one of his arguably his best season of his career with almost 19 points a game and 12 rebounds. Made his first All-Star game and was the starting center for the West last year. But once again, we watch another big man go down due to injury. And the question is Bynum going to follow suit with most of them, and pretty much be the end of his career, or become a guy that can't give you more than 15, 20 minutes a game?
Pretty much. I mean, you look at it, and another guy who had both of his knees done, Amari. And look at how it's affected his career in the last 2 years. Or in the last, pretty much all throughout his career, he's had knee problems. I don't think this is something, especially being a guy who's 7'2" and weighs as much as he does. When you weigh that much and you're that big, it adds that much more stress to your legs.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the sport of basketball. I think it's going to be really tough for him to come back from. And I'll tell you what, if I'm another team out there, I'm hard pressed to sign him for any kind of money.
Well, and that's a big issue for him because he's a free agent after this season.
And that's the other thing, is that no team is going to be able to insure his contract because of his past histories already.
Yeah.
And because of his past histories and him not being insured, it's going to affect. Look at the way people are going to look at the way Stoudemire's deal went down. The Knicks signed him for 5 years, $100 million. The guy's getting $20 million a year. That contract's uninsurable because of his past health issues. So the Knicks are on the hook for all of that. They don't have any insurance to fall back on when it comes on Amari, and I think other teams are going to look at that
and say we're not making that mistake.
We're not putting ourselves in a financial hole because of you.
Yeah.
And prove us something, and then maybe down the road we'll pay you. But right now, he's still in his 20s. I'm not paying him a dime until he starts showing me something.
See, and that's where I completely and utterly agree with the fact that you look at this guy, and he's coming off of a contract where he made $16.5 million this year for pretty much doing nothing but showing up on random pictures with his terrible hairdo. That's it. And he made $16.5 million for it. Now, don't get me wrong. I know he was rehabbing this and that. But you know what? You find me a job where I can sit on my ass for an entire year, make $16.5 million, and, when I need surgery, the team's also paying for that as well. You figure I'll take that job. No problem. But when it comes down to his career, I think he ends up on the route of like an Odin, where he maybe can find like a team that'll give him a 1-year deal. There's no guarantees. There's no, there's no like, if you make the All-Star team, well, then maybe here's an incentive for that. Help, lead our team in points. We'll give you an incentive for that. Like, I could see an incentive-laden contract where maybe he can make a few $1 million. I mean, the NBA is known for overpaying almost every player out there. But he is dangerously close to his career being over because of this. And not even like it's his fault. And based on his maturity or lack thereof that we've seen of him on the floor and off the court, it surprises me to say that his career could be over due to something that's not his fault. You know, but that's the reality of it. His career, if not over, is going to be limited. There's no way he plays into his mid-30s. I don't see that happening. If at 26 your knees are already going under the scope.
I don't see him making it past like 32.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that happening. And this is it actually connects, in my opinion, to something me and you talk about a lot. In the fact that there really are no more true big men in the NBA, and I think a lot of that is due to the fact that these guys, your body's just not meant to hold 7'2" and 280 pounds. Only a very rare few have that. Like, I mean, you look at Kareem and Wilt; they were tall, but they were skinny. They were not heavy set men. I mean, when Kareem got a little older, they put on some weight.
The centers of all the 7-footers, you'd probably say is Shaq.
Yeah, and he got his heaviest as his career went on. When he came out of college, you know as well as I do, he was more like Dwight Howard than Andrew Bynum.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was a ripped, athletic, 19 or 18-year-old kid. Or he was 19 or 20 when he came out because he played at LSU for a year or two. But he was ripped. He was athletic as hell. And then all of a sudden, a few years go by, he realizes that there's not a single guy in the league that can mess with him. So he starts not caring as much about his physical, appearance and his working out because he's just bigger than everybody and he just didn't care.
Yeah.
But you go back to the late 80s, early 90s with the Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, these guys that were 7 foot or taller that had long careers. But you look at Patrick Ewing now.
Olajuwon,
Mutombo, Alonzo. I mean, Alonzo was like 6'11". He barely hit that 7 foot window. But you know what I'm trying to say? And I think NBA teams realize that too, the lack of a guarantee with these guys. So they look at it more like, all right, well, I'd rather have 2 power forwards that can give me 8-9 years than have 1 center that only can give me 3 or 4. And I think that's one of the reasons you see these big guys sort of weeded out now. But when it comes down to Bynum, I don't see things getting much better for him.
No, I don't either. Plus, he doesn't have a great work ethic behind him.
Not from what you know about him.
That's the other knock on him, is that he doesn't really care that much. He's messing with his hairdos. He's, having fun. He's doing his thing. He's living it up. He's young and he's got a lot of money. And right now, he's thinking more about that than he is about the game. And that's just the brutal, honest truth that I'm sure he probably doesn't care as much as the people that want to invest in him care.
Oh, no question about it. And the funny thing is, I know me and you well enough that the competitive side of us wouldn't really be able to handle things like that. But he had almost like a dream scenario this year. He got $16.5 million and didn't do anything. I know he practiced. Like I said, I know he
had to get away from Kobe.
But
that's the thing. Kobe wouldn't have been able to put up with this. He could barely put up with Dwight Howard's nonsense. He would not have been able to put up with Bynum this year.
Nah. And that's the thing. And it's... I almost feel bad. If I didn't hate Philadelphia area teams as much as I do, I'd actually feel bad for the 76ers. But I hate Philadelphia teams. I don't care. The Sixers knocked the Bulls out of the playoffs last year. It makes me dislike them even more. But to add one more question before we move on from this, I'm very curious to know what you think on the idea. How much do you think Philadelphia regrets the offseason trade that was made to send Iguodala to Denver? 12-game win streak right now. Arguably one of the hottest teams arguably the hottest team in the Western Conference right now. Second hottest team in the league behind only Miami. Gets Iguodala. Philadelphia ends up with Jason Richardson and Bynum. Both guys combined only played 33 games, and Richardson played all of them. Now you're looking at Richardson's in his early 30s. He's not what he was 4 or 5 years ago.
Not at all.
Andrew Bynum is a free agent. I think he's a restricted free agent, which I think in the NBA means they have the first right to offer him a contract, and if they decide not to. See, that's the thing. The only thing I'll say is if he is, I mean, this is a person-by-person thing. I don't think it makes you good or bad whether you want to do this, but maybe he might get this feeling of a sense of I owe you guys. And maybe he agrees to a 1-year deal. That could also help him, giving him a chance to show everybody, hey, I can still play. But, very similar to who just signed a 1-year deal. Oh, like a Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie in Denver. A guy, maybe you put him in a winning scenario, he plays a little better, gives him a chance to go out there and get a legit contract again. Pretty much what I'm saying is that 1-year deal to help out the team. But at the same time, you're really trying to help yourself out as well and show people, hey, I am worth the long-term investment. I am worth the time. Even though I don't think anybody's going to think that even if he has a good year next year, this is sports, and owners are going to spend money because they want to win. So it could still happen. So do you think that Bynum ends up getting a deal, or do you think people might treat him like Odin and almost say, why don't you take a year or two away from the game completely, let your body heal completely, and then we'll talk? AKA, do you see Andrew Bynum playing basketball next year? That's probably the much easier way to ask that question.
I see him playing, but I don't know where.
Okay. See, I see him playing, and instead of saying I don't know where, I don't see him playing for a big deal. I see him playing for a 1-year deal. Where
do you
trial.
think it's a contender, or do you think that it's just like the Bucks?
I think it's. I'm going to say a contender. I'm going to say a contender.
Well, that's why I asked that question, because if you're thinking about it, the kid's got potential. And if you're a piece away from maybe making a run or a championship, maybe you would take a 1-year deal on him, a 1-year rental, and say, listen, you come here, we figure with you we might have a better chance to win. If you play well, you'll play yourself into a better deal next year.
Whether it's with us or somebody else, doesn't even matter. You're going to play yourself into a deal.
And go from there. I mean, I look at it, do a team like the Mavericks take a chance on them? They're dying for a big man.
That is so priceless. That is exactly the team I was just sitting here thinking about. I felt like the Mavericks, the way they spread, because Dirk is a shooter. Dirk is not pound you in the paint player.
And they're dying for a big man. They really wanted Dwight Howard.
Yeah. I just think it's ironic that we were thinking about the same team. The only other team I thought of in my head is like believe it or not, even like a Miami or a New York, where two teams that struggle when they play teams that have big guys. Miami's biggest issues come when they play against teams that can pound them in the paint. New York's biggest issues come when they play teams that can dominate them on the backboards. So, I mean, if you're talking just 1-year deal, no crazy, $15 million a year, here's $2-3 million. Go earn it. You want to make $5 million? Well, we'll put a couple incentives in there for you, but that's all you're getting out of us. So, I mean, that's why, I'll throw those two teams out there as well. But Dallas was the first team that came to my mind as well. A team that could use a post player, considering your best player is a 6'10", 6'11" guy that loves to shoot jump shots. So that really would help you just being able to spread the floor like that. So